Oh. Okay, I think we're live. Are we live? Say hello to us, people. Just getting my page set up so I can see everything. Okay, I think, hold on. There's always something going on. Okay, I think we're good. Good afternoon, everybody. Let's see, I think everyone's joining us now. That's fantastic to see. Welcome to our third, I think, in our interview with WiseOceans careers thing. Should probably say that better. We're really excited today to get you to meet Annie Murray, who is a manta ray specialist and has a really interesting route into her career. We're going to be asking our regular questions and moving sideways, diagonally, and wherever the mood takes us. We really want you to put your questions, if you are perhaps at university right now, early career scientist, new graduate, then, you know, I'm imagining there's lots of questions you've got about how you get into a career, such as spending 3 years in the Maldives with manta rays. So let's make a start. And first of all, welcome Annie. Hi.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming along today. It's absolutely brilliant. Sorry, I'm doing some more arranging of my screen just so I can not miss questions. So many things to deal with. So yes, welcome Annie. Thank you so much for joining us. You're in the UK right now, right?
I am, yeah. Lockdown has brought me back to the UK for a little while.
Wow, yes, you can never have everything, can you?
No, exactly.
So, you know, we have our standard set of interview questions that we ask everybody, but feel free to go off on tangents where the mood takes you. Oh, and I've just realized I'll make you co-host as well so that you can share your screen. I think what would be great for everybody if you could just start by telling people a little bit about yourself, where you came from, how you got into your route, and that kind of thing.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. So I'm Annie Murray. So I've been working with the Manta Trust now since 2013. I took a bit of a weird route into marine research and conservation. So I actually have an arts background. I did a drama and theatre arts undergrad and realised it potentially wasn't for me. But I started scuba diving when I left university and kind of got obsessed. So I meant to go on a 4-day trip and kind of didn't stop for the next 7 years. So I kind of fell into the marine world in that way. So I trained and I started working as a dive master and then scuba instructor, which was amazing. It meant I could see amazing stuff underwater, and I was based out in Mozambique for a while. Great, yeah, which is incredible. If you can get there, it's just incredible. And so obviously that's where I kind of fell in love with manta rays, and so I kind of from there decided to come back home, retrain, and yeah, I was very lucky to get onto my master's course at York, which is where I was introduced to Guy Stevens and the Manta Trust. So I was very lucky. I got to do my master's research project with the Manta Trust. So I basically begged to get on the programme. I was like, it's the one thing I want to do. So yeah, you're pretty epic. And
good advice there already, really. Be persistent.
Be persistent, and if you want something, let it be known. But yeah, so I had an awesome summer doing my research project, and then I begged for a job, basically. And I was very lucky to be able to combine my job in the Maldives as the research officer with my PhD. So I got to spend 3 years out in the Maldives collecting my data and swimming with manta rays. And it's kind of brought me to where I am today. And so in usual times, I work as a project manager for the Mexican Caribbean project with the one and only Karen Fuentes. So I'm hoping to see you very soon. If you can,
please say hello.
I will. Hope you can get on a plane. But yeah, so a bit of a wiggly route, but that's how I got here.
Well, it's, I think, of all the people that we've interviewed here, certainly on the ones on Facebook recently, they've all taken different routes and alternative routes. We will be interviewing people who've done marine biology, I promise. It just so happens. But I think it's not uncommon, is it, for people to bring different skills into the marine conservation world?
No, absolutely. I think for me, doing a drama degree, it's been very good in terms of maybe communications, because obviously you spend your life when you're doing drama, communicating. So I think that's been quite a good transferable skill. So yeah, definitely, you've got a lot to bring to it.
Absolutely. We have a question already from Helen. What did you do your master's in?
Marine environmental management at the University of York. So
that's a great course, isn't it?
It's a really great course. It's very popular and it covers a really wide range of modules. And so you've got the more kind of stuff like GIS, and obviously you have to do statistics, which was terrifying for me, but a very good course. But then you have your summer project, which was, what I absolutely adored, and it's what basically got me, where I am today. So yeah, really good course.
Fantastic. Yes. It's funny you should mention statistics. It's ongoing, almost a sort of in joke with our interview with WiseOceans, because I think I totted it up once, something like nearly 50% of people said in the sort of, what would you advise people to do? And it was always like, study more statistics.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Be a marine biologist, do statistics.
Yeah.
Seems to be the case. So yeah, I'm just keeping an eye on questions. Hi Karen, she said hello, hola. George is saying, I think it's great that people take alternative routes. I'm finding marine biology degree quite tough. Well, it'll be worth it. And as Mr. Sam Brody there says, not a question, but what a cool job. Absolutely. So that tough stuff's worth it, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Like that times like when I was doing a statistics course and I was like, this is way too much, but it's worth it. 100% worth it.
Absolutely. So, I mean, I appreciate, obviously things are a little bit different at the moment. So maybe you could talk about like what you were doing and also maybe what you're doing now during lockdown and current projects. But sort of, if you could tell our audience what a typical day is in your job, or the range of things that you get to do in your job, if that's more appropriate.
Yeah, absolutely. It's amazing because there is a huge range. So, I mean, there's obviously my favorite part is the field work. I mean, that's, it's where you get into it. So, usually if I'm out in Mexico with Karen, our field trips, it's an early start. You've got to get out there pretty early. It's about an hour by speedboat to our research site. And it's a long day out on the boat. And we're basically looking to find the mantas. Once we locate an aggregation, we're hopping in and we are trying to get as many of the IDs as possible to try and build up the database so we can really try and expand that to have a better understanding of the size of the population. And we're basically trying to look at, population dynamics, all of that. So yeah, long days out on the boat. We like to sample the plankton. My baby is the drone, who I'm missing. So yeah, send the drone up, trying to locate the mantas, but we can also use it to measure mantas. And then
it's changed everything, isn't it?
Yeah, incredible, absolutely amazing. So yeah,
for people to develop, perhaps.
Yes, yeah, definitely. So days out on the boat, along, but really, really fun. We come back and it's then downloading all the data. We always have an amazing team of volunteers who help us with all the IDing, because when you have big days, you can have a lot of IDs, and so we have a really good team who kind of help us go through that. But then obviously times like this in lockdown and when you're not out on the boats, it's a great time to catch up in data analysis, go through those IDs. I'm trying to work on a few papers at the moment. So it's, a bit of stats, a bit of writing, and then planning for future field trips and future projects. So it's a big mix of everything, which I quite like.
It's in a way, it's a job like any other job. There are some really cool bits, but there's you just have to do what the jobs that need to be done, really.
Yeah, definitely, because then you've got the side of like writing grants, and then it's good. It's mixed. I like it.
Great. Just before I'll just go into the questions. Do have a question with what's your favorite fish? I'm guessing that's not a difficult.
Yeah, you got
I was going to ask it later on, but I looked at the question. I thought I'm not even going to ask that question. But we've got a couple of questions here. Malika, I think it is. What sort of volunteer opportunities are available with the Manta Trust, obviously post-COVID?
Yes. Well, there's a couple of different projects that have volunteer programs. So the Mexican Caribbean project, we do still have spaces for this summer. So in the Mexican Caribbean, there are slots, like 1 month slots. You come out to Isla Mujeres and you join Karen and myself, and we basically teach you the basics of what we do. And it's an amazing opportunity, and it's a great place to be able to get in the water with mantas and obviously whale sharks. It's a massive site for whale shark aggregations. So the Mexican Caribbean project, but also the Maldivian Manta Ray project as well. So I'm not quite sure. I'll have to check what their plan is, because obviously this year is a little bit different. Mm-hmm. But that's basically how I got involved. I interned during the volunteer slots. So they usually run from June to the end of August, then the beginning of September to the end of November. So they do 3 month slots, and you're based out in certain atolls. And in a similar way, you learn how to be a manta researcher, and it's an incredible way to learn. And the Maldives is an amazing place. So I would check the Manta Trust website, also social media.
Often these are on our WiseOceans job board as well, so and featured in our newsletter. So all of those websites, I have everything you need.
Yes.
Fantastic. Just whilst we're in the question zone, Emma, I think it is. Did you do an internship or PhD or anything after your master's degree in order to get a job like this? Or did you go straight into the job? Sorry, I missed the beginning of the chat. Oh, okay. Well, you could probably go back and listen to the beginning of it, but maybe you want to give a quick.
Yeah. So I interned as part of my master's with the Maldivian Manta Ray project, and I was very eager and asked about further opportunities. And so that's when I was able to work as the research officer for the Maldivian Manta Ray project, at the same time as collecting data for my PhD. So it was awesome. I got to do a bit of both, and yeah, 3 years collecting data.
Brilliant. Yeah, questions coming in thick and fast, which is great. I'm going to ask one of them a bit later on. I've got a very specific question here from Abigail. Said, are there possibilities of participating in molecular ecology and genetic analysis within the Manta Trust?
Well,
maybe something you know or don't know. I don't know.
Well, I know. I mean, there's obviously the genetics program. I don't know specifically about opportunities, but if you email into the info at Manta Trust, they can give you information, or if you email me, then I can pass your details on. But yeah, we do have the genetics program. I just don't know of the opportunities, but
and everything's so up in the air at the moment.
Yeah, but it's a great program. So yeah, have a look right in, we can see what happens.
Great. And we had a question which actually leads on to my next question from Eleanor, who's got talking about advice for those fresh out of university. And I'm kind of, my next couple of questions are really about that. The first of which is, are there any skills that you never thought you would need, but actually ended up needing quite a bit?
I think for me, when I was coming out of a drama degree, I was like, well, I've got nothing that really relates to marine biology. And actually, I found the communication side of it has been really important. I don't necessarily work so much in the education side, but part of my job is to give a lot of presentations and to translate the scientific research to different audiences. So that's been a really good skill to have. Also, my route into my job was through the scuba world, and and that offers that opens a lot of opportunities, because you have, whether it's scuba or say free diving skills, that makes you able to work successfully in the field. Yes. So things like that, I think, are quite, if you can work on them.
And of course, drone.
Yeah, if you can fly a drone, fine.
The kind of leading on to that really is sort of many marine sort of budding marine conservationists, when they're fresh out of university, it's quite a daunting prospect. You hear about all the competitiveness for places and how to get that. Do you have any specific advice that you think would be helpful for Eleanor and others that have asked this sort of question?
I think kind of reach out, and especially at a time like now, lots of people aren't able necessarily to be out in the field, so they are doing a lot of computer-based work. So I mean, at the moment we're reaching out to our lovely team of volunteers who are helping us with some data. So volunteer to help in that way. So I mean, you want to volunteer out in the field, but at times like this you can't necessarily get in the field, but you can still help out. So things like that, get in touch with organisations and ask if there's any kind of side of the data work that they need help on. And I think just try and foster relationships that you build with people in these different organisations, because they'll be important further down the line. And
absolutely, connections are everything. I think also sometimes when you're asking people for opportunities, don't be afraid of being specific about what you can do. Obviously, you want to show you to be helpful and do anything, but also, if you can be clear about what it is that you want to get out of whoever you want to volunteer for as well, I think is
definitely
a good idea. And be persistent in a very nice way.
In a nice way, yeah. Be enthusiastic and
So I'm a bit of an enthusiast myself, you might be able to tell. And I just think it's infectious and it's very hard to ignore. And I think when people are enthusiastic and passionate, it's always a surprise to me when people aren't.
Yeah.
And that's a real turn off, I think.
100%.
You don't have to be like crazy loud, but just be there and be up for it.
Be engaged, especially if you're out in the field and you're out in the boat. And it's it's amazing, such a magical experience. So, be engaged and enjoy it, and
be a nice person to be around as well.
Exactly.
It's quite difficult sometimes, isn't it, in the field? You're in each other's pocket a lot.
Yeah, and you have long days on the boat. I get really sunburned, so you can get quite tired, but I mean, I love it. It's such a fun experience. I think I get quite caught up in it, but basically enjoy it.
Absolutely. Okay, I'm just going to have a quick little scoot back. Oh, we've got some silly spam in there. I do apologize. Did Georgia ask another question about, because you were talking about scuba diving being important. She's not able to for health reasons. Is it something that you have to be able to do for a career in marine conservation?
No, I don't think, no, not necessarily at all, no. So a lot of the research, actually, to be honest, the majority of research I've done has all been snorkel and free diving. And that I don't think that's necessarily a restriction at all. So yeah, like I said, all the work I have done has been more surface based and just snorkeling down. So I wouldn't worry too much about that, I think.
Oh, fantastic. That's great. And then, yes, Lily's question is about having experience before going to the Manta Trust. And again, this is just about, you know, volunteering, finding whatever opportunities you can, really, isn't it? About
yeah,
whenever you can.
Yeah, I mean, get out. There's a lot of volunteer programs, and yeah, I mean, if you're part of a dive club, sometimes they have like citizen science programs that can help build up your experience as well.
I mean, I'm guessing with Manta Trust, you know, people applying for internships, not all of them have got experience with manta rays, but you might have other appropriate experience that could be helpful.
Yeah, I mean, you get people the whole wide range of experience. So, you know, and it's good to have a wide base of, you know, volunteers with lots of different skills, because it's not just time in the water. You know, like, there's a lot that goes into conservation research. So, yeah,
absolutely. I wondered if you wanted to tell our audience a little bit about your current project that you're also working on. Sounds very exciting.
Yes, very excited indeed. Yes, so I've kind of found myself, you know, in lockdown, wondering what to do next. So I'm very happy. I've been working on trying to get out to Papua New Guinea, obviously when travel is allowed, because we're trying to start up some research out in Papua New Guinea. So I'm currently organising and crowdfunding for a feasibility study in the conflict islands with the Conflict Islands Conservation Initiative, who are based out in Papua New Guinea. So I basically want to go out there. I want to visit the conflict islands, and we've got a 30-day feasibility study to go see the mantas, go and find some aggregation sites, and also to have meetings with the local community, with the local stakeholders, to see how a more permanent manta research project could benefit the community, and how it can work towards increasing conservation regulations. And the atoll itself, the ultimate goal is for it to be designated as a marine protected area. So we're seeing how setting up some more permanent manta research can work towards that. So yeah, we're running a crowdfunding. Sorry, a little plug here.
No, plug away.
Yeah, we've got a crowdfunding campaign that we're running on experiment.com. So we're trying to raise $5,000 US. So we have until February 3rd to reach our targets. If we don't reach our targets, we don't get a penny. So we're currently on 84% funded. So we're just
close.
I know we're so close now. So we've got, I think it's 4,175 so far. So if anyone very kindly can spare a little bit of money for...
Absolutely. I should have been much more organised to have the link ready. In fact, whilst I'll see if I can find it and
make it work. Yeah, if anyone's interested in making a pledge, hugely appreciated. Yeah, we've got a link on, I think it's on the WiseOceans.
I've got it in your email.
Amazing. Also on the Manta Trust. So
I'm just going to copy that.
Yeah, that's what I've been working on.
Put it in the... it's so annoying, those spammy people in our comments. Okay, I'm going to do that now. I better do it as WiseOceans rather than me. Okay, so yes, I mean, do you have anything to show? Or
I do. If I can,
I'm going to put the link in there, which is there. Fantastic.
I open that up. Can you see that?
I'm looking at so many different screens at the moment. I think it's coming. Yes, we're now seeing your whole desktop.
Nope. How's that?
Yeah, that seems to be working.
Thank you.
Manta rays are gentle ocean giants. They are enigmatic and curious animals that exhibit complex social interactions. But sadly, these beautiful rays are now considered vulnerable due to overfishing, habitat destruction, and the impact of the climate crisis. I'm Dr. Annie Murray, and I've been working with the Manta Trust studying manta ray social behaviour and conservation since 2013. I want to tell you about the very special place for manta rays and to ask for your help in establishing a brand new research and conservation project. 150 kilometres from mainland Papua New Guinea lies the Conflict Islands. Mostly uninhabited, this 21-island atoll in the Coral Sea boasts more than half the world's coral species, making it one of the richest natural habitats in the world. For this project, we are partnering with the Conflict Islands Conservation Initiative. Their team are dedicated to protecting this haven for ocean biodiversity, working with the local communities to enhance their livelihoods and create healthy environments. The Conflict Islands are home to both reef and oceanic manta rays, as well as their smaller cousins, devil rays. But we know very little about them. The Manta Trust and the Conflict Islands Conservation Initiative want to join forces to learn more about their population dynamics, seasonality, and movements. Please make a pledge today to allow us to carry out a month of vital field surveys and to host discussions with the local community and stakeholders on how a manta research project can contribute to the atoll becoming a marine protected area. We hope this scoping work will lead to an official partnership between the Manta Trust and the Conflict Islands Conservation Initiative and a permanent conservation project based in the atoll. This would mean long-term research on these manta rays, educational programs for visiting students, outreach and capacity building opportunities for the local community, and a significant contribution to the conservation of this incredible biodiversity hotspot. Please donate to help us reach our target of $5,000 US and kickstart this exciting exploratory mission for manta rays.
Fantastic. I'm not entirely sure the sound was ideal on that, and we might have been a little bit out of whack, but I think people have got the message. Again, I will get a link and we'll put the video in the comments as well.
Thank you.
Brilliant. Yes. Well, I mean, what an amazing thing, and every little helps, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. Any little small amount would be absolutely incredible. Really appreciated.
Well, best of luck. In fact, they've got a very specific question here from Eleanor, who says, how would conservation work in somewhere like Papua New Guinea? Would an ICZM have to be implemented? Which I think you kind of mentioned.
How would it, or?
Yes.
Well, basically working with local community and then working up to the government level. So what's so special about, if we look at the Conflict Islands itself, it's basically a biodiversity hotspot. It's recognised as a Mission Blue Hope spot for the biodiversity. And so trying to get the protection of this particular area is really key. You've got turtles that come and nest. It's one of the places where you can see reef and oceanic manta rays. So basically working as a conservation, as the Conflict Islands Conservation Initiative, work with rangers to basically protect the area, especially in the turtle nests. So it's getting the protection in place, and then working. I think the long-term goal in the future is to try and get that designated as a marine protected area, because it is just such a special hotspot for marine life. It's amazing.
Fantastic. And there have been some like Missoul and places like that have been really quite successul around that area. So
Definitely.
Brilliant. Wow. A few more pounds in the coffers, hopefully, or dollars. Okay, I'm just going to pick up our last few questions before we I've had a question about salaries in this field. Want to do something similar with sharks. Just wanted an idea. I'm not asking you what your salary is, but just it's not known for its generous salaries in the marine conservation world generally.
No, I mean, you do it for the love of it, really. Should we say that? Yeah, I mean, it's not huge in terms of salary, but often in places where you're living, your accommodation is provided, or your food is provided, or sometimes you're on a ship, you know, you can't spend money anyway. So it's not massive salaries, but I mean, it's worth it for the job.
And some people end up moving out of the field and into more, sometimes sort of more say government jobs and other things where perhaps a more traditional career ladder is available as well.
Absolutely, absolutely, yeah, and it's a huge stepping stone to other careers. So.
Okay, I'm just filtering through this. Do you get to travel a lot with your job? Not currently.
Not at the moment, no. But usually, yes.
And what dive qualifications are you needed? I mean, in my experience, generally a minimum of dive master is required.
Yeah, so usually like something like dive master, and usually volunteers are asked to be over 21, just to have a little bit more experience. And yeah.
We have a question here from Barbara, whose granddaughter wants to be a marine biologist. She's 17 at the moment. Is there a particular university you would recommend? Obviously, you didn't do your undergrad, but there are a few universities. I know we have people watching from around the world. We're based in the UK. There are a few in the UK that are kind of well known for marine biology.
Plymouth is very good. Plymouth has a really good program. I think Exeter's got a really good program. Bangor, yeah.
Newcastle,
Southampton. Yeah,
right. Those are some of the main ones, aren't they? Certainly for undergrad.
For undergrad, and then so I did my masters at York. It's a really good program. So yeah, there's quite a few in the UK.
Yeah.
There's
plenty going. Go and see them and ask questions is what I would say. As I think a previous career in academia is let's go to the open days or online open days and find out whether it suits you as well. Somebody else asking about how necessary it is for a degree in the industry. I'm currently doing a foundation degree in marine conservations with no plans of doing a top-up to get a full degree. Do you think employers would prefer the foundation degree with field experience or require the full degree?
I think that will depend on the specific employer. So we kind of ask for relevant like experience, so whether it's a relevant degree, but I think experience is very, very key as well. It's very important. Because I mean, also it's a very practical job. So it's it's fantastic. You obviously want to have a good understanding of the academic side of it, but experience is vital.
Yes, absolutely. And a question here from Max. It says, "Hey Annie, are you linked to a university or institute, or is it possible to publish papers independently?"
So I'm linked to the University of York, because that's where I did my PhD and masters. And I'll be honest, I should know if you can do it independently, but I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm sorry, I don't know.
Okay, that's fine. I had a question about manta rays and whether they're dangerous in terms of their tails. Perhaps you'd like to do a little mini manta ray biology.
Yeah. So manta rays are giants, but they're completely gentle giants. They are completely harmless. So in terms of their tail, they have a very sensitive tail, which kind of they use as almost like a sensory alert system. So obviously it warns them of the presence, for example, of predators. So it's super, super sensitive. If they sense something around them, it will kind of alert them, and they'll be off you go. So that's why if you're swimming with a manta ray, don't approach it from behind, because they may think you're a predator and they'll swim off and you'll miss the interaction. So you should actually approach very slowly and not too close. Don't go closer than 3 meters, but you should come from the side. Then you're in the field of vision. If you keep really nice and calm and still, you can have amazing interactions.
Fantastic. Good advice. Thank you.
But they don't have the sting, so completely harmless.
Gentle giants.
Gentle giants.
And a couple more questions, and then I think we're probably out of time. Would you recommend any online masters that you could do part-time whilst working? It is hard when you want to study and you've got to work and so on, as a smoother transition into the marine world. I don't really know about online masters.
I don't know of any courses specifically myself, but I mean, if you can do it 100%, because I understand I came into my master's when I was a little bit older, so I was, you know, I managed to work for the year beforehand to save the money up. So it can be a little bit tricky. So I don't know of any specific courses, but if you can do it, then absolutely, I think it's
Absolutely, yeah.
a good plan.
And then, oh, so many questions. We're never going to get away. Hi, Annie. Are there any papers or professors you recommend looking up that specialize in manta research, or more specifically, population dynamics?
So
question for you.
I did my master's. My supervisor was Professor Callum Roberts and Dr. Catherine Arnold. So Callum Roberts also supervised Guy Stevens. He's the CEO of the Manta Trust, and he's a great professor to work with. Obviously, I mean, there's quite a few around the world. Those just the ones I've worked with. But I guess it depends specifically where you are. But yeah, those are my supervisors who are incredible.
Great. And Catherine's asked, how would you approach doing a master's with Manta Trust? Would you apply through a university first and then reach out to the Manta Trust?
So the Manta Trust do have kind of collaborations, the wrong word, but relationships with certain universities. So what I would actually do, I guess it depends where you are, but if you're interested in specifically doing a master's research project, I guess go onto the Manta Trust website to see who they're partnered with. But then also I would actually also reach out directly to the Manta Trust. So there is like a general information email, and maybe approach it that way.
Mm-hmm. Brilliant. Well, if we didn't get to all your questions, I think we've done pretty well. And thank you so much for taking the time to share all of that with our audience. I'm going to have one final question of my own, which is perhaps to ask you what your most unforgettable moment has been so far in the ocean.
Oh goodness, that's tricky.
Assuming it features a manta ray.
Yeah, I think probably the first time I saw a mass feeding, so cyclone feeding, was basically when you've got a huge number of manta rays, and it's one of the 8 described foraging strategies, and it's basically they create like a cyclone in the water. And I was in Hanfari Bay in the Maldives, and I was swimming along at the end of the day, and I was quite tired and quite sunburnt, and I looked down, I was like, you see like puffs of like sand going like, and I was like, what is that? And I kind of went over, and there's like a little ridge, and as I went over, just out of nowhere, there's this cyclone of mantas, and I absolutely froze. Like, that's the moment you're meant to be like getting in, get the data, but I didn't.
Yes, serious scientists.
Yeah, absolutely froze for a few minutes, and then started frantically screaming to my boss to come over here. It was amazing.
Fantastic. Well, what an image to end on, really.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Annie. Absolutely brilliant. Please, everyone, to click on the link to support Annie's pledge drive for this Papua New Guinea project. It looks fantastic. She's so close. Keep an eye out on WiseOceans.com and also manta-trust.org, I think it is, for any opportunities. Apologies if we didn't get to all of your questions, but there'll be more of these for sure. So thank you so much for joining us today, and thank you. That's about it, really. So thank you to all our audience as well. Thank you for joining us and your great questions.